record, and then I'll get started. Kia ora koutou. So thank you so much for coming this evening, or if you're watching the Zoom recording, thank you for taking the time to do that. My name's Donna Tetchins, and I'm joined by my colleague Anna Orman, and I think we have Mary and Mel here also. So we make up the reference team at the Wellington Medical and Health Sciences Library. So we're the reference librarians. So part of our role is teaching these information skills workshops, as well as providing advice and support to both undergraduate and postgraduate students during your course of study with us at the University of Otago, Wellington. So this session is about searching for scholarly information, and this is a really important skill to have, well, no matter what level you're studying at, but particularly at postgraduate level, where the expectation is that you'll read a bit more widely than you would at undergraduate level, and that you will need to be able to access scholarly information. And so I should, before I go on, just feel free for those people who are joining us this evening, just to put any questions or comments that you have in chat. I'll pause every so often and just check for questions. Both Anna and myself will be monitoring the chat during this evening. Just to give you a quick overview of this evening's session, we're just going to look at what the key steps are to locating scholarly information. We're going to look at the strengths and limitations of different searching tools, because unfortunately there's no perfect one. And I think as postgraduate students, it's important to start kind of critically evaluating the tools that you're searching. And then we're going to look at how to use key searching techniques to refine a search in Google Scholar. Anna's going to take us through searching a library database, Scopus, and then we'll just touch on how you can contact us and the things that we can help with. So I usually like to begin by talking about the different categories of searching, because actually it's important to think about what you're trying to search, what the purpose is, because that informs a lot of what you do. It informs where you search. So these researchers have come up with these different categories. The first one is basically just look up what they call definitional, which is when you've got a really specific item, an article, say statistics, you know exactly what you're searching for. And then we've got what we call the exploratory searching, and that's you might be trying to understand a topic better, need to make sense of an evidence base. You might just need to find some key papers to back up what you're talking about in an assignment. And then we move to what we call the systematic search, which is when you might need to do a literature review. Your assignment might say, or might say, we expect you to find the key evidence on this particular topic. And that's when we move into more systematic searching. In terms of today's session, we're going to be talking about exploratory and systematic. Just quickly, and I'll be touching on these things as we go, is these kind of these are the key steps. Having a searchable question, working out what the main concepts are that are going to form the basis of your search, thinking about your keywords, your synonyms or related terms, and selecting the right resource to search. I just very quickly just want to touch on a searchable question. For some of you, you'll just be given an assignment topic, but at postgraduate level, it isn't uncommon for students to actually have to come up with a question as part of an assignment. So a searchable question, which should be specific with really clear components. There are different frameworks that can help. Some of you may have heard of something called PICO. PICO stands for Population Intervention Comparison Outcome. I'm not going to spend very much time talking about it, but we can definitely help you with a PICO-based question if that's what you need to do. But really importantly, if you do have to come up with a question, make sure that it's fit for purpose, because this is, in my experience, where students can kind of fall down. They come up with this fantastic question, which would be great if you were doing a research project or you were a PhD student. But for an assignment, often what they want you to do at postgrad level is actually synthesize evidence. They want to see that you can do that, basically. So basically, you actually need to be coming up with a question where there is actually evidence to synthesize. So my recommendation is to do some exploratory searching to shape your question. We're going to be looking at Google Scholar shortly, and that's a really good place to start. And just make sure there is information on your topic. I'm just going to move on to talk about identifying the key concepts. So what students say when I run workshops on searching is that this is the stuff that they find really hard, identifying the key concepts and what keywords to put in their search. So identify the key concepts, which are the main themes on your topic or research question. Usually you'd have 2, 3, a maximum of 4 concepts. And so what we're doing here is actually translating your question so that the search tool will be able to search it, because unfortunately they won't search based on a question. So what you need to do is you avoid using vague or unnecessary words like people, patient, effect, impact. There can be sort of questions where you might put some of those words in, but generally you leave them out. You definitely leave out stop words like and, the, of. And I've just put a couple of examples down here. So we've got in people with eating disorders, what is the impact of lockdowns on eating disorders symptoms? So you'll see here, I've just got the two concepts highlighted. It's eating disorders, lockdowns. So I've left out people with all the stop words, impact, and I've left out eating disorder symptoms, because actually if we search eating disorders and lockdowns, they'll be talking about eating disorder symptoms anyway. So that particular phrase is redundant in terms of searching. The next example here is, does multidisciplinary care improve outcomes for people with type 2 diabetes? So I've got 2 concepts here again, just multidisciplinary and type 2 diabetes. I haven't put care in because it can be multidisciplinary teams, it can be multidisciplinary collaboration. So that's really what that's all that the key concepts that I would be using for my search. And then the next thing is to think about keywords to search. And this will really, and how much of this you do will depend on whether you're doing what we would call an exploratory search. You need to find some key papers to back up what you're saying, or you need to do a more systematic search. And the goal is to find the best evidence, the key evidence on a topic. You'll see here, I've just got eating disorders, which is the broader, I sometimes use the word umbrella term, and then we've got the more narrower terms just here. And I've also got lockdown. I could maybe put in quarantine. I've also thought about COVID. So that just gives you an example of how to start thinking about the words to put in your search. Before I start doing a demonstration, just a little bit about keywords, because these are so important. So you need to think about synonyms: breast cancer, breast neoplasm, as I said, broader, narrower terms, eating disorders or anorexia or bulimia. Really importantly, spell out abbreviations. So the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease rather than just COPD. Think about UK and American spelling, because if you use one and not the other, you'll be biasing your search. And translate New Zealand concepts into international concepts. I've got primary school, elementary school just there. The other example that springs to mind is physiotherapy or physical therapy. I'm just going to, as I mentioned before, talk about Kesho, our library catalogue. So for those of you who aren't familiar with our library website, and I'll talk a little bit about how to find it shortly, but Kesho is our catalogue. And so basically it's that search box on the library website just there. And so you can use it to search for specific items like books or journal articles. So doing that, what we call that, those researchers call that definitional searching. But you can also use it to find articles on a topic. And the reason I'm touching on Kesho is that sometimes students say, well, why can't I just rely on this? Why can't I just search this? And you can absolutely search it. You can put in your key concepts in there. But just to touch very briefly on what some of the strengths and limitations are. Its strengths is that it's really easy to search. You've just got the search box. It's a good place to start if you need a few articles, you want to do some exploratory searching. But it's got some really quite major limitations. It's not a one-stop shop, and it doesn't search, in fact, it doesn't search most of our databases actually. This next one isn't really a limitation, but it's something to be aware of. Results are displayed in relevancy, not date, and you can change this. One of the things conveners say, and I was talking to one of the conveners today, and she said just emphasize this, is postgrad students using out of date or older material. So yeah, just be aware of, perhaps applying date limits where applicable. It searches a wide range of material, which is not just scholarly. So you can come up with things like newspaper articles, for example. And sort of non-scholarly articles. So it's really important to apply filters or limits. Definitely not the resource to use if you need to do a more systematic search. You might want to start with it, do some exploratory searching, but you will really need to use something else as well. And I'm not going to, as I said, I don't want to spend too much time on Keshu, so I've just got a screenshot just here, just to show you what I'm talking about. So we've got, once you hit search, you get this screen, and these are the limits down here, ways that, and you can limit, for example, to journal articles. You've also got the display just here. So this is where you can change the display if you want to. But one thing you can do is, if you want to, keep it on relevance, but apply a date limit, which is just here. I'm now just going to move on to discussing Google Scholar. So some of you will be familiar with Google Scholar, but some of you may not. Google Scholar is different from Google. Google developed Google Scholar as a way of, I think it's been around for about 20 odd years now, and it's a way to enable people to search for scholarly journal articles. Its strengths are that it's easy to search, basically. So that's what it's been designed to do. It's great for exploratory searching. So if you need to find a handful of articles, you need to shape a question, as I talked about before, it's a really good place to start with that. And it's free to use. So you will have access to Google Scholar no matter what organization you are working for. And what are its limitations? So it does have quite a few. So not many limits, basically. So really hard to refine your search. Very important to put a date limit on, because that's what the convener was talking about. Articles in Google Scholar are not chronological, in chronological order. Google is not very transparent, in fact, about how it ranks articles, although we think more heavily cited material appears first. So do put a date limit on. Students report that they can feel a bit overwhelmed by the amount of information on Google Scholar. So I'll be talking about that shortly. Really importantly, there is no quality checks on Google Scholar. So the other day I was helping a student. So, you mostly will find scholarly journal articles, but sometimes, so for example, when we did this, the search, the student that I was helping with, we found it came up with an assignment that a student in the States had written, which would not have been appropriate for the assignment that he was working on. And that it just reflects the fact that there is no quality checks. There are, however, some little techniques that I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to show you in terms of today's session. There's something called phrase searching, which you can actually use in using Keshu and Scopus, the library database, which Anna is going to show you shortly. So phrase searching, it tells the Google Scholar or the resource that you're searching is, I want these words to appear together in this order. So it works with 2 or more words, basically. And the other thing that we're going to look at is in title colon, basically, no space. And that tells Google Scholar, I use this technique all the time, that I want this word or phrase to appear in the title of any articles. It's a way of narrowing your search. So I'm just going to get out of the PowerPoint, and we're just going to go into Google Scholar. So this is the Wellington Medical and Health Sciences Library website for anyone who isn't familiar with it. There will be links on your Blackboard and Moodle sites to it, but you will need to use it outside of Moodle and Blackboard. So really the easiest thing to do is just Google Wellington Medical Library, and you will come to the website, and then just bookmark or favorite it. And that's Keshu there. Databases are just here, and we have quite a lot of library guides and videos, including ones on Google Scholar and on Scopus, which Anna's going to show you. Just quickly, library contacts are just here. That's the library.uow@otago.ac.nz. That's the general library email. If you click on library contacts, you'll come up with the individual emails of the different library staff. So if I just go into databases just here, so we've got databases, we've got hundreds of different databases. They're organised in alphabetical order and by subject, but we've got a link to Google Scholar just here. And this is what it comes up with basically. So, so you get the search box just here, and you can just literally experiment with different concepts, different keywords. So I could put in eating disorders, lockdown. I've already got it in there. And so it will come up with a list of references, basically. As I said before, now this topic obviously is going to come up with relatively recent references, just because of it's a relatively recent topic. However, quite often when you're searching, if you check the years, you might find that you get 1995. Sometimes I had a search recently where it was 1974. There's a whole range of different years. And the reason for that is that we think Google Scholar displays things according to how heavily cited material is. So as I said before, really important to put a date range on, and the date range is just there. You've got specific date ranges there, or you can enter a custom range if you want to. So I've just put in eating disorders lockdown. I don't know whether you can see that, but it says 29,000 results. Some students get really kind of hung up on that number. One thing to note is that generally it'll be the first 2 or 3 pages that will be the most relevant. And after that, the results will really drop off in terms of relevancy. So let's just put, if I put eating disorders in double quote marks, and in title colon just there, and there's no space before, it's literally in title colon and lockdown. And so, as I said before, that's telling Google Scholar, I want eating disorders as a phrase. So I want eating disorders in that particular order, and I want lockdown to appear in the title of the record, of any records that appear. So really, really nifty little searching technique, and it's one that I certainly use a lot. Just in terms of your approach to searching, as I said before, you probably, well, sorry, just take a step back. I probably usually just put in title in one concept. I generally find if you do it for more than one concept, you'll end up with very few results. So that's just something to be aware of. The other thing just to point out is in terms of making your Google Scholar searching more efficient, more effective, is that you'll see down here I've got Wellington article link, I've got Otago article link. These are links that are designed to make finding the full text much easier. I can click on the article title, and hopefully, yep, I've got the full text just there, and I can see the PDF popping up if I want to find the PDF. If you find that you're not finding the full text on Google Scholar very easily, then please get in touch with us. The other thing that you can do is that just see if there's these 3 ellipses appearing. Sometimes, depending on your browser, I'm using Firefox, so they just appear in the top left. I think they might be somewhere, it might be the top right for Chrome. If you click on those, go to Settings and Library Links, and just search for Otago in the search box, and just make sure that you've got University of Otago article link, University of Otago Wellington article link ticked, and that will just make sure that it'll just make finding the full text when you're searching Google Scholar a lot easier. As I said, just feel free to get in touch with us. I don't kind of expect you to necessarily remember all of this. Once you've ticked them, then just click Save, and you should only need to do this step once. So I'm just going to pause and just make sure that I don't think there's anything in chat. There's no, to see if anybody's got any questions. No, that doesn't look like it. So just before I hand over to Anna, who's going to talk you through Scopus. So Scopus is one of our large multidisciplinary databases. So when we talk about a library database, what we basically mean is a database which is a collection of records with fields that you search. And basically most of our databases are databases of journal articles, although there are some exceptions. Scopus is basically a database of records to scholarly journal articles. Really importantly, the library subscribes to Scopus, so it's not available for free, and certainly Google Scholar doesn't trawl through it, nor does Keshu. Its strengths is it's got a very good coverage of a wide range of different topics. It's easier to search than some library databases, so it's a good database to start with if you need to do a systematic search. All of us as reference librarians do literature searches for academic staff, or we advise on search strategies, and Scopus would definitely be a database that we would use for most of our searches. Limitations, it's harder to search than Google Scholar or Keshu, not going to lie about that, and it does require a bit more thought. Doesn't have the same limits as some of the other databases, and that's just something to note. So I'm just going to stop share and pass over to you, Anna.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be with you tonight. I'm pleased to be doing Scopus with you because it's one of my favourite favourite databases. So hopefully you can now see that I'm on the library page here. So I'm just going to scroll down to databases, go in there, and if I scroll down, Scopus is under popular databases as well as above in the alphabetical order. So I'm just going to click on Scopus. Let's go in there. So you'll be logging in with your Otago details. And it's just taking a moment. Right, so this is the front page of Scopus here. So what I'm going to do using Donna's example of eating disorders and lockdown, in my first line here, which is looking at, we've got article title, abstract, and keywords. I'm going to start with our eating disorder concept. So again, I'm using the speech marks to do a phrase search like Donna did, but I'm also putting an asterisk after disorder. So that is a way of ensuring that I capture eating disorder singular and disorders plural. Okay, so you can use that. It's quite a handy one. I use a lot, for example, for child. If you put the asterisk afterwards, you'll get child, children, childhood. So that's quite useful, that one. So eating disorders is our broad term. So I'm going to go narrower now and look at anorexia or bulimia, or we go overeat, and again I'll use that asterisk there, and you can put lots of, you could pick other terms as well, maybe binging and so on. So we'll start with those ones, and I am going to add another line here. So we've got our first concept in our first line. Now we're going to put our COVID lockdown terms in. So we'll do lockdown, or let's see, quarantine, or isolation, and we'll put COVID in there as well. So we've got all our lockdown terms here, and we're just going to click on search and see what we get. So depending on the number, we might need to play around with the limits, which are over here on the left side, but let's have a look. So we've got 5,200, which is way too many to go through. So what we'll do is refine the search. So over here on the left, because it's COVID, it's going to be, say, 2019 to 2024, which should come up with anyway, but we'll just put those in. I might decide to look at review articles, which takes the number down quite a bit. And I just want English. So we might put those limits on. And let's have a look and see how many numbers we've got now. Right, so we've got 665, so it's taken it down quite a bit. So what I'll do now is over here, we've got show all abstracts. I find this really useful because it's a good way of, when you're flicking through, see if an article will be useful or not. So we'll select that. And at the moment, it's sorting by the date from the newest, but I would like to search by relevance. So that's going from the terms up here. Okay, so now we'll have a look through. So you can see here, this article is 2022. It's had 2 citations. And let's have a look at some of the highlighted terms. Now, we haven't got lockdown or COVID in here at all. So let's just skip down to the next one. And again, we haven't got COVID or lockdown. Okay, so let's go up because we're not getting, I want some articles that really answer my question well. So let's go up here and we might, let's take out, whoops, we'll do lockdown or COVID. So you can see searching's a bit of an art. Sometimes it takes a bit of playing around until you get some good answers. So in the search, we've got 356 titles. So again, let's go by relevance. And that's the same top one we got as before. Right, here we've got one that does mention COVID. So that might be worth having a look at. Haven't got COVID there. Right, this one here looks really good. So it's a review article. And it's about the impact on people affected by eating disorders. So this would be a really good article. It's from 2021. It's been cited 13 times. So if we click on here, let's see if we've got the full text available in here or not. So we'll just scroll down here. No. So for this article, we've just got the abstract. So we know what it's about, so we might need to go and find it somewhere else, but at least we can note down that title and use that for further reference. Okay, so if we go back into Scopus, back up to our article. So we might select that article there. Here's another good one, impacts of COVID on eating disorders. This one's a systematic review, so we know it's really good evidence. Yeah, you can see here we're getting into some really good results. Impact of COVID on eating disorders, again, a systematic review. This one's a systematic review. So we've got some really good material there. Has anyone got any questions on that Scopus search? You can see by tweaking it a bit, we got much better results. So the terms isolation and quarantine weren't that useful in this example. So it's worth just having a bit of a play around to see if you can maximize the quality of your results. So if there are no questions, I might hand that back to you, Donna, but feel free to put questions in the chat too. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much, Anna. So I'll just go back to sharing my screen. Yeah, so Anna's showing you Scopus. Don't think there were any questions. So we'll just to wrap up the session. So things that we can help with, we can definitely help formulate a searchable question if that's what you need to do. Identify which is the best search tool or database to search, what concepts or keywords to include in your search. If you're having to do a more systematic search, then very happy to help with that, either by as I said, either by helping with the above, reviewing search strategies, and helping you with if you have to report a search strategy for an assignment. We can help via email, Zoom, or if you're in Wellington, of course, that's always nice to meet face-to-face. That's the general library email, library.uow@otago.ac.nz, or there's our contacts on the library webpage. And I've shown you that. So just to wrap up, learning to locate scholarly information, really important skill. And all of those things like having the right question, concepts, keywords, techniques, really important part of searching. Unfortunately, there's not one perfect tool. They all come with strengths and weaknesses and bias and depends on your question and purpose. But just want to wish you luck for the course that you're studying, and just get in touch if you need advice. We're generally available 8:30 to 5 weekdays. If you contact us outside those times, we'll be in touch the following weekday. And just a reminder, we have the last of our study skills sessions tomorrow. So that's the study skills Zoom, which is an introduction to referencing, starts at 7. Just note there's been a change to this session. So rather than run separate sessions on APA and Vancouver, it will be a combined session. So just turn up at 7. We will record it, and I'll send out the recordings next week. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining us if you are joining us this evening or watching the recording. So I'll just